Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Kyle Red Hilton, or UncleRed99, titled Remembrance. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the track on YouTube. Now, this is a little bit different than the usual kind of stuff I get through. This is an orchestral arrangement, a piano and string ensemble there. If I kind of squeeze in there, it's on a music. I was about to press full screen. I've got a weird sort of like screen situation at the moment. So first of all, if you want to check out this interactive score that Uncle Red has, it is our Muse score. But we've got lots of different instruments, a full string section plus the keys, so that should be nice. But yeah, it seems like this could be an instrumental. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to check out this track and listen through it. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's do it. Remembrance. I find it amazing when people are able to write things to like idealize all these things in their head and bring it forward like this. Great shift in dynamics there. Going to the mezzo piano. Great use of pizzicato there. And those octave rolls there are just gorgeous. The engine is amazing for the sound reproduction. And use the crescendos as well. Isn't it just magical the journey we've been taken on already? And we're actually over the halfway point. Time's flying. Time flies, man. Great alternating notes here on the keys. It's interesting to hear a piano go up in that range there. I kind of dig it. There's a beauty to the pitch of those notes and how it's captured here. I mean, the left hand is extremely explorative as well. 7 flats? I mean, it's just such a slick key change. Interesting chromatics there. Use of double flats. It just extends. You got the double dot. Beautiful. Beautiful piece. Really stoked with that. Created on musescore.com. No, fantastic effort. Fantastic effort. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. So actually, just before we get into the conclusion, I sort of want to talk about this. First of all, he's got a link to the Muse score, the Remembrance, here, but it has a description that says, if it hasn't been made clear already, I like to emphasize on depicting the more intense emotions we feel throughout our lives. This piece is no different. I've written this piece in celebration of the lives of those that we've had to grieve throughout our time on this earth, whom we've had the misfortune of outliving. It features a somber chord progression using a simple melody with some intricacies. I feel like simple is relative, but you know, that's okay. To help express the turmoil and unpredictable nature of the hopefully sorrow experience that is the human grieving process, written in a key of E flat minor, featuring a piano lead with a string ensemble accompaniment. Feedback is welcomed and appreciated. All right, so let's give some feedback. From the actual name of the track to the way it sounds, I can hear, without needing there to be a specific voice or storytelling device, I can hear what we're trying to describe here. This is a 7-minute instrumental, again, comprised of a piano using its full range, right up to the tippy top, all the way down to some of the, well, not necessarily down, right down to the bottom, but like a lot of the lower notes. There are octaves that are stretched. Let's just say that here. It's thoroughly explorative on the keys. And the string section with a combination of 2 violins, a viola, violoncello, and a contrabass. Oh, you get all of that in here as well. Reviewing a piece like this is different because you're not necessarily trying to equate the way the words connect to the way the music sounds. You're more sort of looking at the interactions between certain elements, as well as the qualities of themselves. So I think maybe we should talk about the piano first, and then the string section, and then how they integrate in the overall theme of it like that. So I think the piano beginning the piece here is just tremendous. I really appreciate the fact that we have a real sense of fluidity with our different tempos, and we're comfortable having some almost rubato-ish stuff there where we sort of mess around with not having it completely strictly on beat or to the tempo. It's just great that we have that sense of feeling behind it, but in a way that is rational. This is an emotional piece. There's a lot of heavy stuff going on, a lot of heavy feels, but at the same time, there's this sort of like innate beauty to the keys where even if there is a little bit of darkness for some of the triads or some of the bass movements, the right hand often counters it, and you go into these higher progressions there where, again, it's a fairly accessible chord progression, but it is articulated really well across both hands, and you just have this interplay where one hand will kind of be more active than the other, and then the other one will step into the back it up. You have teamwork there in contrast, and it's just beautiful. I like the fact that we explore the different octaves that are present. I like the fact that we intermingle between eighths and like triplets in the same part. I like the fact that we are expressive with the dynamics and are more than comfortable to go from pianissimo all the way up to forte or even fortissimo, I assume, at certain components. I appreciate the fact that we are able to have legato moments, but also shorter notes on it, and we're able to sort of adjust what we're doing sort of dynamically to be able to suit. I think that's really cool. I look at this and I go, what possibly more could you want from this aside from to sort of like it's got all these different polka più and appassionato. Like there are all these different moods that are encompassed within it as well. And it's a song where it really wants to take you through its own journey through the keys alone as one of the main focal points, especially with the little bits of nuance and personality with the little brum, 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 those kind of like rolled notes there, those rolled octaves there, all the way through to parts. We have some sort of unconventional chords and interesting sort of chromaticisms and unusual sort of like seconds, like where they add a bit of drama or tension to it, but we allow space for things to sort of be absorbed and sort of provided. And I think that all the while we're doing all these interesting things across these various sections with the piano, because there were different chapters to this, different parts, all the way through from A to F there. And I feel like each of them is connected neatly whilst also having its own sort of identity and personality. It still provides enough sort of range for the strings to come in and speak their truth. And I think that part of what I appreciate about this track, in addition to the key performance there being extremely competent and well sort of like read, and I don't think there's any weak points or any bits of filler for it, is how the string section takes its time, chooses its moments, and explores its range really elegantly in a way where it never feels too overwhelming. I think with a song like this, if you've gotten too hot and heavy with the various components or gone sort of too hard in a sense of like go heavy or go home with it, like it could have been very easy to have just stacked everything at once and had a huge sound. And there were some parts where it was like really glorious in regards to its intensity. But it's almost like at some parts we focused on the upper ranges with the different violins. Some parts we let the viola kind of have its moment, in the violoncello and stuff like that. It's just in the contrabass as well, even with a nice sort of buzz in that sort of bass range. It's just beautiful and would allow those things to sit on their own. And that is just one way that we can encourage a sense of development and variety within a piece, harmonically, melodically, and sort of the composition of it. It's not just that we had all this fun stuff happening on the keys, it's that the strings were there to sort of support, but also there were these interesting sort of solo sections between violin 1 and violin 2, and they would take turns, and I appreciate that. I like the fact that we didn't just play legatos either with the strings. We'd occasionally have shorter notes, like they were sort of like plucked. Other parts were sort of staccato them. It's the flow of it. There's this flow of emotion throughout by means of the way that these two sort of groups of instruments interact there. Both of them are capable of exploring the entire sort of frequency spectrum from C1 to 8, or at least as close as you're going to get, and I don't think you could have really done more to make this a better track objectively. It's just incredibly well handled structurally. You don't have everything at once. You start with the piano and then you basically end with the piano. And I think that that's a good idea, because I think it sort of indicates that the strings are there to sort of support the piano through its journey that it's having there, and it becomes a bit more sort of like lifelike and more sort of believable because of that. It has this innate sense of coziness because it knows, again, not to shove everything in your face at once, and it never becomes too vacant to the point where you're wondering what's going to happen next. Like, there are pauses and moments where you can sort of appreciate what's come, but those are there to arguably set up the next part. And so when I hear this and I look through it and all the different interesting ideas there, with even some harmonic and melodic minors there thematically, it's just a complicated piece to sort of summarize, like put in a box. But I feel like this is Kyle Hilton's, what they described in that description. And I feel that it's an incredibly intimate listen that I think performatively, in regards to the overall feel, again, the use of the different dynamic markers, etc., the change of the tempo and feel, the different chapters throughout, absolutely nails it on the head. And I would genuinely appreciate the opportunity at some point to hear an actual group of musicians play this, because I just feel that'd be an absolutely sort of like incredible experience. I personally feel that you could put this music in a wide variety of situations. I think this would work well for film scores. I feel like this would work well for game designs and like game dev. And I don't say that often. And ironically, it's actually like, it's not necessarily ironically actually, but it's often because when you have music that is more subjective, it is more flexible. It's just that a lot of the music I review is more sort of like, this is the specific message and it's oriented at that, and so you get it put in a box. But with this one, it's just so open, and I just like that we managed to find that equilibrium. I think it'll mean different things to different people, and I think everyone who listens to it will have a good time, or at least find some sense of love and pleasure in it. So I feel like it's a really mature composition, and I have no real complaints about it. It's incredibly expressive, and I think that they nailed it on the head with the various chord choices, the key signatures. I mean, working with 6 flats on a good day is kind of difficult, and then making it work into like 7 at the end with that key change was just wild. But I think the way to think about it is it's just like a really, really long version of a lot of modern music, except at the 5 or 6 minute point, you have that key change to either go up or down. And it's just, I think, a nice twist or turn there at the end to sort of keep things fresh, although it was fresh the entire time. And just in terms of my and then it's just the studio production, recording, mixing, mastering. Now with this track, granted, it's through MuseScore, so I think that Muse, they have their own engine for processing audio, but I also want to say that I like the leveling that was done. I assume there's some leveling devices and various. It's just knowing Kyle Red Hilton, Uncle Red. It's the fact that they knew how to set the loudness, the loudness, relative loudness, the different sort of like pianissimos and mezzos and fortes, etc. How to get those to kind of work with each other in a way that made it feel live and fresh, because this was a live sounding recording. And with a lot of stuff that's composed via computers or digital, even in like music production situations, if you don't adjust the dynamics, the loudness of certain parts, if there's not a sense of life and if it's not vivacious, it sounds kind of stale. And we didn't have that here. So I just want to give a shout out to Kyle for being able to put that into this track and making it sound like a live performance. It was incredibly well done. That takes nuance and expertise, and clearly they're very capable at this. It seems like a really comfortable position for them, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to review it. So thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named Kyle Red Hilton, aka UncleRed99, titled Remembrance, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Just making sure I haven't missed anything. I think basically I want to just say one more thing. With the strings, with their solo sections, just to be specific, I feel like even though the keys had a lot to add in terms of an overall sort of like aesthetic, with like the right hand articulating a lot of the like lead notes with like the triads or the arpeggios or the scale runs, or it's just great for the violin or maybe the strings to be an additional voice, like a separate person. I just want to sort of stress and emphasize that I understand the purpose of a solo piece, and I think just to say the independent solo sections added their own sort of unique sort of edge that allowed this track to remain more sort of structurally interesting. And it was just an unexpected thing as well when it had occurred. And I just feel like even if it was unexpected, and it still added to it, just the fact being able to sort of like have these additional sort of like concepts work within the framework that you've got there, and sort of like to be able to find more and more new things to add is a really solid effort. So thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named Kyle Red Hilton at UncleRed. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.